But we need to find our information. So the cosmic self is going to be very important to come online in 2025 for the people who have not had that yet. And allowing yourself to see and feel all the destruction that has happened over the years. How does that really make you feel inside? Because you contributed. Every single person contributed in a way in any lifetime, and even this lifetime now. This push in 2025 and the end of 2024 is going to push you more into your courage and to standing in your power. That's the benevolent power. It's in the heart. You do not have to fall in this entrapment again, and you do not have to stay there. And that's what's happening now. That's what we're all coming back to. And 2025 is going to push more people into connecting with the divine and who they truly are, which is the divine.
Keleena Malnar, welcome on Just Tap In. What are you most excited about right now in your life?
Being with you right now on this full moon. Seriously. I woke up so excited because I was like, I'm going to speak with him in person. Because your energy just, wow. It's amazing. It's amazing.
And I can already feel yours as well.
You're sweet, you're kind, you're relaxed in conversation, and you allow. And that's where many people need to go. So I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you.
So happy to be
it's
here.
Great to have you on. And speaking about allowing, right now your guides are telling you that 2025 is called the year of the final surge. It's the end of the cycle, this 20-year cycle that you saw in a vision in 2024. What is humanity being invited to allow into the collective right now in order to head into this final surge? And what's at the end of this final surge as well?
Okay. Well, the vision was actually in 2004, and it was a 20-year countdown.
Yeah, 2004. Did I say 2024?
Yeah.
But okay, oops. Okay. What's time?
Exactly. So what I saw was the Earth's reset is what they showed me in that vision. And I'm not going to talk about it here because it's on my YouTube, but it's the reset of humanity and the reset of the conditioning and the programming that humanity has been under, and the reset for what all believe is turmoil on the planet is actually the death, the transformation, and the rebirth as a whole consciousness. And allowing that to happen through each individual, because we're all unified off the earth, we are one consciousness, and that's why it has to happen. So we've got to shift that consciousness into the higher vibration so that Earth will continue to have her own expansion as well. So it's not just our evolution and the evolution of the consciousness, but it's the evolution of everything on the earth, everything to come back into where it needs to be, the plants, the animals, everything, the elemental kingdoms. So we have to allow that which is happening to us to happen without getting that false identity ego in the way. It's like it's your belief systems that you've been brought up under. We've got to allow that to fall away, to go through our healing process, and to allow the expansion of the divine mind and the divine heart, the sacred heart and the divine mind. That's the masculine and feminine. When that happens, it expands and it activates the sacred voice. And that's when people start speaking their truth. That's when people start speaking the language of light. That's when you allow yourself to be fully present in the engagement through here, through the sound, the light, the frequency, the tone that comes through here, but also through here and here. I already just saw my blue light just beam right on you.
Felt it. I was like, oh.
Did you? It's the ending of the Kali Yuga. Did a video on that a long time ago, and I think some people are going to start talking about that. But what I see is this shift, like we're at the end of this Kali Yuga cycle. And what they showed me is going into 2025, I see massive golden doors opening. They're just shining and they're opening. And I asked, what are these golden doors? And it is the movement into the golden age, but it's also the movement like stepping in more fully into the Aquarian age. To me, we're already in there partially, but it's that movement forward more. And just so you know, my energy will flash. The movement into wholeness, unity consciousness, and the benevolence and high compassion in our sacred hearts, moving people more back here rather than being in the what I call the false ego. That's how I've been shown by the masters. There's a false ego presence of yourself, and you have your actual divine ego within that allows to show you things you need to do. It's almost like you're innate. If there's a car coming and you're in the middle of the street, that your divine ego is like, jump, get out of the way. That's the true one. That's the one that keeps us aligned. But the false one is the one that we grew up with, and it's got to slowly just kind of dismantle, and we have to say goodbye to it. And the whole process of, what we call ascension, you can call it something else if you wish, but that's what my guides call it. It's the layers come off, we ascend into our higher vibration frequency and all that we are to become our authentic self, which is amazing. Amazing.
What did it begin to look like in your life when the masks started to drop off? And let's say that divine ego or the higher aspects of yourself started to come into your reality. I believe 2015 was the year that this culminated, or it began for you. The old life culminated and this new life began for you. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, well, it was like different surges through my whole life. 2008 was really big, but 2015 was when I had the walk-in experience where the version of myself that was here had completed all of the work, the mission, any kind of karmic lesson had to do, and left. And this high version of myself came in and expanded everything. I already had abilities. I already was a healer. I was born that way. But it was like everything literally turned on like that. Like boom. It just turned on. And I was able to do things energetically, utilizing frequency and light and sound. My light language that I spoke when I was little came back on because I blocked it after being made fun of. Everything came on. These abilities, things that I can do that you don't think a human can do. And it's because the allowance of all that I am at the multidimensional level, what they showed me was my 24th chromosome came on. And when that's your multidimensional chromosome, that's the one that was spliced and turned off. And so when that comes back on, your multidimensionality starts to show, it starts to expand. You're living your life as this being and all these beings from parallel realities that you've ever been. But this time, the one that's of the highest frequency and light for the good that we're here to do for the planet and for serving humanity. So they came on, my life changed. I woke up totally different, vibrating at such a high level that I literally shake the bed, and I vibrate constantly. It doesn't stop. And that's the high frequency beings that humanity is coming towards. But I didn't remember it literally, which is this is not an easy thing, but it erases, like, it's almost like it erased all your memories of the life that you were living. Like, I could not remember barely anything. And they gave me the memories of birthing my children and them growing up, with me. And they were in their they were teens when this happened. So I had the connection memory with them because they're high frequency crystalline beings as well. But other persons, I didn't remember them. I'd be like, who is this? Who is that? And I'd be like, well, not knowing what to do. I didn't know how to drive a car. I couldn't boil water. I literally burned water. And I had been this person that would make like 5-star meals from scratch, all organic. Okay. So to go for, you don't remember anything. I literally got in the car because I had to take my kids to school. And thank goddess, my daughter was having her, where you get that permit thing to learn how to drive. And she had been in that, because I got in the car and I just looked at it and I went like this. I remember going like this. Nothing happened. And I was like, and my son's like, where's your key, Mom? And I'm like, I need the key. I'm like, I have a key. He ran out of the car. He's like, we're going to be late. He went in the house, grabbed the key, and I was holding the key, and he's like, yeah, put it right there. And he comes from the back seat because my daughter's in the front. He shoves it in, and they like turn it on. I'm like, I'm not feeling so well today. I'm like, Kaylee, can you drive? She's like, okay, yay, and then you're learning how to drive. So I had to literally observe her driving the car, everything she did, a stop sign, everything, so that I could get back home after they were dropped off. So when this happens, I know a lot of people said, oh, I'm a walk-in. I'm like, oh, did you forget everything? They're like, no. I'm like, okay, that's different. I don't believe they had a walk-in. Literally wipes out everything. And you have to relearn it almost like a baby. But what was happening was, this technology here is so old. I'm used to wherever I came in from as a galactic ambassador, I just go like this in my ship and then tune in with my, you just have to, with intention, you place where you want to go, and it's like all of a sudden, boom, you have a ship that's moving. You call it your Merkaba, whatever you want. But it's very different than here. We're in this 3D reality where you've got to work machines. They're like machines. So everything shifted. My abilities came online. They were already online, but they were like 100 times stronger. Like literally, I can just touch someone's, boom, my finger wants to go right to everybody's third eye, and I could start reading everything about you, and then I could pull stuff out of you that shouldn't be on you. I could touch your body and pull stuff off. I have done exorcisms. I have removed entanglements from people. I have removed some of the darkest energy attachments. I'm like, why can I do this stuff? And I send it right back through my light. And what happens is the Holy Spirit's just working through me, or whatever you want to call it, prana, life force energy. It's just so expanded that everything just flows right back to source, and it dissolves in love, and it goes back to pure probability. So
pure probability.
Pure probability.
I love that.
Because that's what we want. We wanted to go back to that. And I do a whole thing before I do like sessions now where I do that with people, but in person, literally I'll do something and then energy at them, they like fall over. So I have to have someone behind them to catch them because it knocks them off their feet. That's how powerful the energy is. But it's me as this human, okay, opening and expanding myself to be the conduit for source. So that's how it works. So when we can allow and get ourselves out of the way, get that ego out of the way that we're always tripping over when you're going through your awakening process, because I've met a lot of people that claim to be so far along, and then I'll say one thing to them and boom, they've tripped over their ego. And it's like, okay, that's something you need to see to get that out of the way. And then sometimes they get mad. But I'm like, well, then when the anger's still coming up, you've got to really take a look at yourself, right? Because there's still layers there. So that's my job. I can walk in a room, Emilio, and just stand there with a smile on my face looking around because my energy just expands and catalyze people like you wouldn't believe and not say a word. On that blue laser that comes out of my third eye, when it hits people's third eyes, they can feel my my vibration, my frequency, because I'm always, like I told you, I'm always zzz, I'm like that all the time. And the reason that's happening is because my electric and magnetic is balanced. And so that's what that's happening. And that's what everybody is going, and that's what the sun's doing too. It's bringing in those codes, the magnetic field and the electric, all that stuff. It's bringing everybody into that pure balance, to harmonization. So my catalyzation came online, and I'm unconscious to it. I can just walk in a room and look at someone and smile at them, and they're like, and I don't know what's going on, but you will literally receive something from my beingness, and it's not anything that I'm doing on purpose. I don't do it purposefully.
Yeah. Why do you believe that more and more people are beginning to have these types of experiences of reconnecting back to their multidimensionality? Is that something that we once were in a past, ancient past, maybe Atlantean times, Lemurian times? Is that all coming back to us now? For what purpose? Where are we headed?
Well, that's the 24th chromosome coming online, okay? Because that's the chromosome that is our multidimensionality. And the reason, so remember how we say everything's happening all at once? Because you can see, I can literally see all the different realities happening at one time when I'm going into people's, working on with someone. So what's happening is you're taking that best version of yourself from these other parallel realities. So let's say Atlantis, for example, you've lived 40 different lives there, okay? You're going to literally be bringing to you that best version of yourself from Atlantis that opened yourself up to the highest vibration and frequency of who you are and did these things in the pureness of your heart. And what you're doing is you're bringing that in. It's not entangling. You're bringing that into yourself for balance and to harmonize all that you've ever been, to become the best version of yourself now on the planet for everything that's happening. This expands everyone's consciousness when you bring that better version in. It's not saying that you're running away from your shadow side. Your shadow side, you're actually is in the subconscious, is that you're working on with your awakening. But you bring in these higher versions of yourself, and what happens is that light comes in, and so it does is it shines on the darkness that's still within you to bring the balance, if that's making sense. Because that's what every time I say something, they show me the vision of what's happening. So that's why I'm talking like that. So if you look at all your Egypt lives and you remember the best version that you were there, what would it be? Can you remember that yet?
Me?
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's coming. It's coming because you'll remember how you utilized your alchemy, your magic, and how you used it to serve humanity. I remember being in Atlantis, and if I needed something, intention and through my heart, it would just show up in my hand. That's it. That's how powerful we are, and we're bringing that back. That's the golden age. And we've had that in every civilization. But then that's when the greed had come in, and the greed overpowered and would shut it down every time. And we either had the floods, or you could call it the fall, or whatever you want to call it. But that's why it always happened.
Where did that energy of greed arise from?
I literally just heard loud and clear off planet. Like literally off planet coming in, and it literally tweaked humanity. That's when the chromosome shifts, the DNA shifts were happening. Okay. But there's these off-planet beings. This is what they're showing me. Off-planet beings coming in that need things from here, that want to take away. And for the betterment of themselves, that's how they're saying it, the betterment of themselves, they tried to shut humanity down to become more like robotic, more like okay, thank you. They're saying, and I don't know why they're saying slave trade, but slave trade, to become more like that and to be controlled and manipulated by shutting off the heart. So what happens is then these humans are so controlled, and so the creation of the false identity ego of the wants rather than the needs really came to the surface. This is what they're showing. This stuff came to the surface. And then that's when the fighting started, and the greed and the wars and not the I am, but the service to self really started to take over. Hold on, I'm getting a lot of information coming in. And the reflection of the identity, rather than that which is the God self, the reflection of the identity of that which is that you may call opposing energy, began to take over the human's identity in form, which creates greed, envy, jealousy, anger, deception, manipulation, lies. However, we must understand that when this has happened, that instead of the allowance of too much of an opposing energy, or what you may call a dark force, it should have brought a balance with the rise constantly back and forth of the light and dark. However, it always tilted in one direction. And that is where your fall, you call it, or your floods purposefully happened. Because Gaia needs to recreate herself again and raise her vibration by doing a cleanup of all that is dispensing too much of a low vibration and frequency for her body, her soul, her beingness. All that have come here have been invited in some way. However, we are going to say this. Through the galactic regions, those that came for the wrong purpose have created that which the human heart, the sacred heart, and the heart of the one divine creator do not harmonize with. So Earth will shift herself. She cleans herself up when her children have stepped out of their boundaries. Her children stepped out of their boundaries. I've never heard it like that.
And what do they mean by cleaning herself up?
Oh, this is good. Wow. So
water break.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a lot in there.
Yeah, so when I'm channeling, I get vision the whole time. They're showing me My guides are showing me visions of everything. So she cleans herself up. She knows, like when what do we call this? I call it astral travel, but I think there's something else. Like I can go over the earth and hover over the earth and look down and see where the dark spots are on the earth. Like you can see certain countries, cities, whatever, that are just black. And so that's showing you that's the lowest vibration area on the planet. And Gaia knows exactly what to do there. So she will either create a tornado, a hurricane, an earthquake, an eruption from the volcano, which that's when she's really angry. That's what Gaia told me. When the volcanoes below, watch out.
That's the
Right?
rage. Yeah.
Exactly. And she's allowed to do that. It's her body. It's her body. So she takes over. However, they're utilizing certain things now too. When there is a natural tornado, they're going in there. We know what they're doing now with those things. They're not allowing the natural part of it to happen. But that's what she does. I literally have been inside the earth with Gaia. I have some crystals that are keys to take me places that no one else will be able to use. So I'll show them to you. Not today, though. That allowed me to go inside of Gaia and literally be with her. And I gave her a code. When I went into the earth, there's this center there. You can't get in the center unless you have been invited by her. And all of a sudden it started just going into a wave, like a watery wave. And I knew that was a portal for me to walk through. Because I've seen those portals on Mount Shasta and other places. I've seen them in Egypt, but I couldn't walk through because I had like all these other people with me. So I was like, oh, I can't, if I take off. So I walked through and Gaia turns around, looks at me. She made herself into a form to look like human. That's what they'll do. They'll make themselves look like a form. And she's like, where have you been? I've been waiting for you. And I was like, Gaia? And she was like, yes. So I literally went and hugged her, and just this expansion of heart energy was so beautiful. And then she took me and we sat down. She was making an elixir. She was literally making an elixir. And I remember it being connected to the elixir of Isis, because I used to make the Isis elixirs in Egypt. I would do that and give that to my priestesses to help them when I was training them. So she's making this elixir and she looked at me and she goes, do you have the code? And I looked at her and I gave her a name of a sacred geometry. And she just went, oh, like that. And she went back to the center of this, I don't even know what you call it. It's like a dome, okay? It's like a huge crystalline diamond dome. But when you're like inside of it, it's like all shaped like triangles, like the Epcot Center at Disney. It literally looked like that. And each one of those triangles was a window. Like for her to see out, to see the destruction happening on the planet by man, by the greedy, what they were doing. She could see it. And so she went over and this huge crystal came in front of her out of the center of this dome. And she put her hand on it and she said the name of the sacred geometry I gave her. As soon as she said that, this was 2019. This is the very end of 2019, okay? The earth started to shift, and you could see it in the windows, the earth rotating, and what was in those windows started to rotate. And she's like, that was it. And so everything started to rotate, and she looked at me and she goes, that's what I needed. It's time, Keleena. Be prepared. Get ready. And that's what my guides have always said to me my whole life since I was like a teenager, get ready. And I was like, what am I getting ready for? That was just before 2020. And I was like, whoa. And at the time, she didn't show me, what that code that I brought to her was doing, but it was the placement of the celestial beings now being able to come into their position on the planet, on the ley lines. Like their celestial beings shifted, and like new ones came in at higher frequencies and vibrations. And what I saw was the ley lines lit up even more, like a golden color. And it was just the most amazing thing when we're doing this work. This is part of our multidimensionality. And that's why we are becoming all that we are. Because we're helping serve humanity, but we're also helping Gaia. And it was so amazing. So 2020 had to happen. No matter what people think, it had to happen. Not the other part, not the shifty part, but, well, I guess it did because it helped people with their awakening. But the shutdown for people to go within, to have that sacred space that they weren't doing because they're so connected to the third dimensional reality that they live in the false identity ego rather than in their truth, their authentic self. But that was just a little part. I'm a piece to the puzzle like everyone else. So everyone's doing something. So I'm not going to say that I'm the one that caused, no, I held a code and a piece of the puzzle, and everybody has that. And if we are not doing what we came here to do, then that piece is missing. So then somebody else is going to come in and be that piece. That's amazing.
And honoring that, 2025 as well is going to be a year where a lot of truth will come to the surface. You mentioned in your email that you've stayed in the background with many subjects, but now your guides are telling you it's time to come out with these subjects. Yeah. Is this what you're referring to regarding the multidimensionality? And maybe what else does humanity need to know that is arising right now because of this new layer that we've unlocked?
Well, first, your cosmic self is coming more online. Everybody will come more online with their cosmic self. In 2022, I got that information, and I channeled it live on this little meet and greet thing. And my guide said, starting 22, more people would meet their future self, which is their cosmic self. And that has been happening since then. So that is going to continue for the people that have just been waking up. And it's part of the transition that has to happen for all of us to become more of our authenticity, to be more authentic. So I have like 3 different beings talking, one at a time. Okay, yes. Well, give me more of your question again.
What does humanity need to know regarding subjects that have been maybe suppressed, that aren't, being shown up in truth, and now we're allowing this information to come in?
To allow yourself to see it from the perspective of this is helping humanity, it's helping your own soul's evolution, it's helping Gaia's evolution. Because the truth has been hidden to hold you in a state and place of unconsciousness, to hold you in a state and place of a reality that's not serving you anymore. So allow the change within yourself to happen. Allow the truth that's coming up. Don't get angry at it. This is very important that we stay in our hearts, that we stay in a neutrality when it happens. Because if we go into anger with a lot of the truth that's being shown, a lot more of the truth that's going to come up, we're just going to keep feeding that energy. We're going to keep feeding that low vibration, and it's toxic. And you will keep expanding you will keep feeding that toxicity and low vibration to the people you're around and in your environment. So this is one of the things also is like, if you get catalyzed, but people are going to be catalyzed by it. So when they're catalyzed, take that into the space and place of seeing the higher perspective, seeing the higher vision that, okay, this is happening, but this is happening because what's going to happen for our future is going to look beautiful. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. So if we take, for instance, yeah, they're introducing electric cars, and there's going to be new kind of styles of airplanes and helicopters coming, which I see crystalline frequency. I see them flying with electricity, but also crystal
Like
technology.
plasma, maybe.
Plasma as well. I see all that different stuff coming in. Plasma is what we used a long time ago. Think of how we moved around in Egypt with it was plasma, but it's also crystalline frequency. But there's a bolt of electricity that has to happen first to ignite something. I don't know why they're showing me that. They're like showing me like a tap on a crystal and it like literally lights up like a electrical bolt they're saying, to turn things on. But yes, it's going to clear the air. It's going to help to do all of those things. It's going to get rid of the old that's no longer serving because we polluted the land, right? We cannot be angry if all of a sudden they say, okay, no one can fly for 2 months because we're going to be introducing this new technology. So no one's going to go anywhere. Instead of getting angry about it, look at what it's going to do for the earth. Look what it's going to do for humans' health. Even though there's a lot of stuff going on from certain groups and organizations that are telling you you're not going to own things and stuff like that. One of the things that I saw for myself is if I don't own anything, I'm not going to pay. You're not paying lumps and sums of money to someone because you don't own a piece of Gaia. Right? Here's the other thing. Gaia told me on Bell Rock in 2018, no one owns the land. Nobody owns the land, not the Indians, not whoever were here first. That's how the game is played. Okay, they want her body. It's her body. She's shifting it. She's literally assisting with the shift in the consciousness and also holding within her crystalline self. This is interesting what they're showing me. Within her crystalline self is the memories of that which is coming in from the star seeds above that are bringing these patterns of perfection that are the new technology, and these patterns of perfection that are within ourself. Because we are the crystalline technology. We are it. We are the computers. We are Google. We can Google ourselves through connecting with the One. That should be our only way. That's how we do it, because we have that divine connection. That's how our information is always supposed to come in. The moment we've got to get online and find it, you don't know what's the truth on there. We have to be really careful. I know everybody's like, Google it, Google it, Google it. It's good to Google something you don't know how to work. But we need to find our information. So the cosmic self is going to be very important to come online in 2025 for the people who have not had that yet. And allowing yourself to see and feel all the destruction that has happened over the years. How does that really make you feel inside? Because you contributed. Every single person contributed in a way in any lifetime, and even this lifetime now. What are we using in our day-to-day lives that's contributing to pollution? What are we using? How has each individual and what they chose to do in the third dimensional reality for their work contributed to keeping the consciousness of the planet shut down? So when this awakening is happening, because all of these things are coming in and we're seeing the greed and the darkness, and we're seeing these people of control coming in and trying to continue to control you. This push in 2025 and the end of 2024 is going to push you more into your courage and to standing in your power. That's the benevolent power. It's in the heart of knowing that You do not have to fall in this entrapment again, and you do not have to stay there. There are people that are like, oh, I'm not going to. I just did a video. I don't know if it was my September video or the countdown one, but I was seeing people like backing in the corner going, I'm not going to do anything wrong because they literally fall out of their power. They give their power away. They are so disempowered by these controllers that have been happening for so long that they don't know anything different. And they think that these people controlling everything are their saviors. But I'm like, they're not your savior. I just talked about this on the video. They are not your savior. You are your own savior. That's exactly what Yeshua, John the Baptist, the Mary Magdalene, and all of them in every civilization were trying to show humanity as they were saving themselves because they only listened to the one. They received their information. That's the priest, that's the priestess. Priest and the priestess listened to no one else. They never stepped in a church. I'm not condemning churches, just so people know. But they never stepped into anything. They were on the land and they were teaching from what was coming in from the divine connection that they had and expressing it through their sacred voice and their sacred heart. And that's what's happening now. That's what we're all coming back to. And 2025 is going to push more people into connecting with the divine and who they truly are, which is the divine.
You brought up the priests and the priestesses, and I know that you remember being a high priestess in the times in ancient Egypt and in the land of Kem. They would go through these initiation rituals to be able to create that connection with the cosmic self. How is the initiations that used to go on in those ancient times changing to the initiations that we're going to begin having in this modern time? Like, how is initiation different from then to now? So much easier. Less elegant.
So let me just say, some of the things we did in camp were so dumb. I can say that now.
Tell us about it.
Like, would you seriously want to climb in a sarcophagus for 3 days now and put yourself to sleep? Because we did that. And a lot of people didn't make it out. They died. They died from panic. Because once that was closed, okay, there was very little air.
Oh, they would close it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
But we were to take ourselves into such a deep meditation where you didn't need to really breathe so much. And what we did was we'd leave the physical body, okay? And we'd, just like you do at night, okay? So when you sleep at night, you leave your physical body and you go elsewhere. We were supposed to take ourselves, and that's what was taught we would be doing. So that was part of the initiation, to be able to do that. Because if you can do that just in meditation, the next step was to do that in the sarcophagus, in the darkness. So you were put in this dark thing. You had no food, no water, nothing. And you were to take yourself into that state and place of what I call the void. Okay? So when you take ourselves into the void, you can actually go through the life, death, rebirth cycle there. That's happening now. But we're not locking ourselves in a sarcophagus. Okay? We're not dropping ourselves into a room of scorpions and having to walk across without being, what you had to do in there was you had to expand your frequency and your light to such a high vibration that those scorpions moved out of the way.
Wow.
And you can walk through. Yeah, I remember a lot of this stuff.
What else? I'm getting memories back while you're speaking. Keep going.
I remember being dropped into a snake pit. Same thing. There was so many different, ridiculous things. We also had to swim across the Nile where the crocodiles were. Now, we all know the crocodiles are not in the certain area where you're going near the temples now. They're on the other side of the dam. But you literally, that was a test. You had to swim, and not during the day. It was at
In the
night.
darkness. Wow.
Yes. So it was just, this is why I said we did dumb things, right?
And if you passed, what would happen?
Then you go to the next level.
What was the highest level?
The highest level was the alchemy. And I'm not allowed to say it on here, but I think that you probably would know. If you tune in some more later, the alchemy of the self and the 33rd extension of yourself is the only thing they're allowing me to say. Let me just say that humans are number 33 because there was 33 steps. So the final step was the 33rd one, but it had to do with not doing something outside ourselves. Yeah. So, yeah, we did crazy things. They always make me laugh because when I would have a memory of them, go, what were we thinking? Because I actually developed one of them. I was like, wow, I put everybody through that torture, but I had to go through it too. But as the high priest and high priestess, we guided and we taught the priest and priestess how to do this. You know, how to take yourself into that space and place and that reality of calm and peace and take ourselves into the void. That happened for me, I think it was 2017. I was just meditating in my apartment. And the next thing I know, I'm in this darkness. And I'm looking at myself and it's massive and it's dark. And I'm looking at myself and I see myself disappearing into the darkness. And I was just disappearing. I had consciousness, but that was it. I had consciousness. And I could see, they let me see the outline of my body, but it was just white light. That's all I was seeing. And they were showing me. And my guides, the masters are my big guides. And then I work with the angelics and, you know, these other beings of light. But they were showing me who we are, right? So when I could see through myself and I can see Earth way in the background and I can start seeing the stars light up, I was like, I'm in the void. This is the mother's womb. This is the mother's womb. And so much happened in that, what felt like a moment. But I literally, when I came back in, because the UPS man knocked on my door, I would have stayed
The UPS man interrupted your void date. Come on, bro. Come on.
You know, I would have stayed there because it felt so good. There was just so much love, and you were only consciousness. That was it. And you just were so expanded as everything, but nothing, because you were nothing. You could see through. That's how they taught me. You're everything, but you're nothing at the same time. And so when I came back in, it was like really fast because I like slammed into my body because that was really loud. It was like boom, boom, boom. And I was like, oh. And I was like, oh. And I was like shaking and I'm like, what just happened? I could barely get up off the floor. And I heard the UPS man drive away and I'm like, I'm just going to stay here because I felt like I was melted butter. I like could not move. I was like liquid. And my guide said to me, remain in this space and place until you are back fully in your body. But I couldn't get fully back in my body for a long time. I was so expanded. The physical body felt too small. And then when I finally got up and I was trying to walk, it was like having to, like a baby. When a baby starts to learn how to walk, I was lifting my legs like up like a baby. Like lift, you know how you lift the knee first, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Like I can't walk. But I can also still feel myself so expanded. So those are our initiations now. And they're so much easier than the things that we did in Atlantis, in Egypt, in Avalon, in Christ's time, in all these different times, all these different civilizations. We're going through this process right now with an agreement that Source gave us to allow this to happen in ease and grace. Not every moment's graceful, but
Not through snakes, crocodiles, and suffering.
no, not unless you want to try that. Be my guest. But I choose not to this time. Yeah.
So for a person that is tuning in and has that desire to be initiated into these higher levels of self, what is the process of getting into that void space?
Meditation. You've got to meditate. I know there's a lot of people go, oh, I hate meditating. I hear all the time. My clients are like, I can't meditate. And I'm like, okay, let me help you with that. And within minutes they're meditating. It's just it's the belief system that has to be shifted. And when you start meditating more and more and more, it becomes easier. And I'm going to say this. Everybody's like, my third eye doesn't work. So I'll go, okay, well, close your eyes for a minute. I'm like, can you imagine this beautiful waterfalls and the flowers all when you're in the tropics? They're like, oh yeah, I see it. I'm like, okay, your third eye works fine. That's your third eye.
It's imagination.
Exactly. Exactly. Unless you've shut off your imagination somehow. That's it. And that's what the masters taught me. They're like, Keleena, everyone's third eye works. You just have to remind them. Remember when they were little, when you were a child, and your imagination, you just imagined everything. That's because you were totally open. You weren't shut down yet. We start getting shut down around the age 7. That's when you start shutting down. But your imagination is just flowing and going, and you're doing, and you do everything you want to do, and you're like invincible as a child, right? You're invincible. I can fly, and you jump off the swing set, right? And you're like, I can do this, and you just do it. There's no limitation. So the moment you start limiting yourself more, the imagination starts going. You just have to open it back up. It's your creativity, but that's also your sacral chakra and your throat chakra. So if there's blockages there on the body, that also that comes together like in a unification to assist with the third eye not being able to see as much as you want to.
You mentioned that we start getting shut down around the age of 7. Are the new children and the new little star seeds coming in, are they still getting shut down around the age of 7?
Most of them, no, they're not going to. The ones from, like my oldest daughter was born 2000 and my son was 2001. And because I was always awake through my life since a child, I kept them open, right? But that's because they had a mother that guided them that way. Now, the ones that from 2012 moving forward, those are the ones that they do not bow down to authority. They're very heart-based, very heart-centered. They know when someone's not in their truth. They're the ones that you can call them the golden ones, because what I see, and I have a friend who her child was born, I think he was born in 2020 or 2021. I can't remember. But she sent me a picture of him. He had his photo taken. She sent me a picture of him, and I looked at him. I go, oh, wow. And I sent it back, and I circled above his head. He had the golden light above his head, and it was just expanded. And that's who we're working to become that. These children are already like that. That's the Christ light. That's the halo, right? So those children are already like that. You can't shut them down in any way. And even the guides are saying even abuse can't shut them down. It can shut them down from trusting humans, but they will always have that innate knowing and that ability of what is their next step and what they're to do unless they're being programmed, like really programmed. When you stick them in these public school systems, that's one thing Archangel Michael channeled through me in 2015. All these things that were being shut down, all these things that had to shift. So if you're being put in this school system that they're only allowing you to teach what's in a book rather than teach them to expand their consciousness, some of those kids can potentially get shut down, but something's going to happen in their life that's going to just open them right back up so fast.
What is it about authority that they're not allowing that to affect them, let's say?
Because they know the truth. And they're here. They're very heart-based. They can literally see through somebody's lies. They can see through, let's put it this way. I've seen some of these children that have questioned and questioned and questioned their teachers. And that's what I did when I was young. I always questioned the nun or the priest, and they would kick me out. I had to go stand in the hall so many times in Sunday school because I'm like, God's not mean. God's not going to get us. God loves us. And boom, out to the hall. That was me. I was the one that I knew the truth. Okay. Even though I'm not one of these new children, I was always awake. So what was I doing? I was catalyzing them to be in their truth, but no. So that's what these children, they're like these catalyzers in the same way in a heart-based reality. They're not conscious that they're doing something that's going to trigger their parents, their grandparents, to push people into being in their truth and their authenticity. That's what they're here for. They're like a wave of that. That's like part of their job. They're that wave of that. Mike, how old are you?
I'm 26.
You're 26. So you're around my daughter's age, just a year old. Okay. So you guys came in as more the high frequency beings to hold the frequency of the planet. Okay. You're crystalline. You're probably born crystalline. So if you look in your hands, do you see the crystals? Like when you go, well, I have to see them in person. So if you're in the sun, look at your hands and see if they're shining crystals all over. Like mine are just loaded with crystals, my kids are, but that's part of the process.
Like yellow, golden?
They're like mine are like rainbows, white,
Yeah.
there's gold ones. Okay.
I've seen that in my hands. I saw it very strongly once when I came out of a meditation and I looked down at my hands. Mm-hmm. I saw exactly what you're describing. Yeah.
Yes. That's a crystalline frequency. That's what we're coming, because we're leaving the carbon-based body and becoming crystalline. We're becoming light. That's who we are. That's what source is. Source is light. God is light. That's what it says in the Bible. I didn't know that until someone told me that, because I never read the Bible. I was raised Catholic, but I don't think any Catholic reads the Bible. So you're becoming that. So these children, okay, your high frequency beings, that's your wave of those of you in your 20s. You're doing that. I'm like the people paving the path to open up for you guys to do what you're doing. That's my generation. And I'm not going to give you my age. So, but now my grandchild's born. Okay. So she's a totally different generation than you guys are. They're the new ones. And when she was born on my birthday this year in 2024 in January, and I got to see her birth. I got to witness it. The whole year when I found out that my son's partner was pregnant, I knew she was coming on my birthday. I knew the whole year. I saw number 119 everywhere I went. That's my birthday, January 19th, January 9th, everywhere. And I was showing it to everybody. I'm like, look at this. I think the baby's coming on that day. And they're like, no way. Because her due date was the 18th. I'm like, she's coming the 19th. I know it. But I never told my son and his partner. I didn't want to, I want them to be in their joy. She came on that day. And I held her in the hospital right after she was born. And I looked right at her. And she called herself a diamond child. And I was like, okay, what's this? You know? And I'm holding her third eye open and expanded like a diamond. And it started to spin. And when it spun, what happened was it fractalized everything in the room. Everything like pixelated and was gone. And the only thing that was there was her and myself. Everything else was gone. I've actually done that to someone else here in Sedona, who he's a legend in Sedona. It scared him when I did that for him in 2018. I didn't know that's what I was doing. She was doing that, but she calls herself a diamond child. And literally, when I was looking at her and she were telepathically talking, she looked at me and she goes, I am you. You're me. And I was like, what? And the whole year while we were waiting for the birth of this baby, and I had told my friends over and over, my guides kept telling me, you will not recognize yourself on your birthday. And I thought, oh, am I going to have another walking experience? What's going to happen? The reason I didn't recognize myself was because part of me is in her. You continue. Remember, we have parallel realities. We also have many versions of ourselves now on the planet at the same time.
Are we destined to meet them?
You know what I just heard is yes, you will when you're ready. But here's the thing they just said. Sometimes you won't know, but you'll have that like soul connection that's so deep. You're going to be like, I know this person. It's an extension of you. So even though she's her own individual, she's a part of who I am, but who all of the ancestors are as well. But she just expanded everything for me in that one moment. It was so like amazing.
Wow, beautiful. I just had chills for the longest time. You know, you usually get like those 3-second chills. I had them for 10 minutes while you were speaking.
I have goddess bumps.
What? Goddess bumps. I love that. I'm going to start using that.
Okay.
What is that then telling us about how reincarnation actually works?
Well, what did it just tell you? That you don't have to literally leave the physical body to reincarnate again, do you? That's what was eye-opening for me. So she's not all of, remember, I'm a higher version. So the part of me that left, who was named Kelly, my parents named me Kelly, okay? They were so close, but my guides always called me Keleena for my whole life. I almost named my daughter that, and then they screamed at me, no, that's your name. I'm like, oh. So her name starts with a K too. So anyways, that version of myself that left because it completed what it, I don't even know how to say it, needed to do in this lifetime. And I know a big part of it was to bring these children in. When it completed and went back to source and this higher version of myself came in, that's the version that came back into the baby. I literally cried for 2 days because I finally understood so much more. There was so much more information downloading in 2 days of how what we understand or what we believe to be as true is not true with reincarnation. It's not. It's not true. And I've not talked about this anywhere yet. So this is the first time I'm sharing it. I've only talked it in private, and I'm putting it in the book that I'm writing. But she will continue the work with the families. But when who I am now came in, when they shut off their connection with me because of what I can do and because I left a marriage, because I don't believe the thing, I never really did believe the things that were programs. I was always like, no, that's not for me. No, that's not for me. No. I always saw the truth. I knew it in my heart as a little girl. She's going to continue to help awaken those family members that haven't awakened yet, that chastised me, and that still do. Now she's taking that on. Because I already know she's going to be speaking the language of light, very little, and it's not going to stop. And the language of light is key codes for awakening, for healing, for divine love, for your authenticity. It's light, it's sound, it's vibration, it's frequency, and it shifts you into your patterns of perfection of your divine blueprint and all that you are. That's the language of God. That's what it is. And so she's going to continue to help the family to heal through her now. Because of her little, beautiful little face and her love, and she's a baby and everybody wants to, you're just like, oh, and the energy. So she will suck them in and she'll catalyze them. And this is what the children will do. They will catalyze in a way that they're unconscious to, which is what I do. I catalyze people unconsciously, but they do it through their hearts and their love and knowing if someone's lying, they're going to point the finger, but without pointing the finger. Then I'm going to say, no. I've seen this happen with the new ones. No, that's not true, and you know it. That's what they do. That's not true, and you know it. You know it's not true. They'll keep doing it, and then finally the adult will go, I'm sorry, you're right. The adult will have to give in and take a look at themselves. Wow. Because there's no way we're going to evolve if we are not in our truth. And so they're just going to keep pushing that through who they are, which is their authentic self, the evolved soul. Like, I'm a very old soul. I know you are as well, but these children coming in are old souls. They're all coming in. A lot of them are very old. We have some new ones coming in too that are bringing in like the technology things. And for whatever they're telling me right now that a lot of them are coming in from Procyon. I don't know where Procyon is, but they're showing me like a planet. I'm not even sure what star system that's from. Procyon. A lot of them are coming from Procyon. Maybe something to look into. But they will be coming from there with... They are sensitive, but they're bringing in that which the humanity lacks now for technology, but they're also going to bring it in a way to use it collectively in the higher vibration and not taking it into the reasoning that the earth has, or civilizations have fallen before.
How do you feel that the school systems will need to change to be able to receive these new children?
They have got to get rid of the books, first of all. The books are only what your government wants you to teach and keep everybody in a box, because that's their system. They're only programming children to go to college. They're programming you to be an adult slave, basically. And even one of the things is sports needs to stop the competition and just play the sport for fun. That's something else that when my kids were in, I just wanted them to do it for fun and for exercise and good health, right? And these parents were so competitive. I was just like, it wasn't me. I was just like, oh, I can't handle this. What's wrong with these parents? This is children's sports. But the books have got to go. We have got to bring in awakened teachers that allow the students to teach each other rather than the teacher being the teacher. Because if you bring in and you give children, if you teach them the basics, which is all that they'll need, then you give them a project, you're going to see where that child expands their consciousness in that project. What part of the project are they really good at? Because that's starting to show them where their work is going to be, where their authenticity is, right? And so when each person has a piece of that project and they bring it together, it's a balance with all these kids working together in unity. They finish these projects where they may have just created something new for the planet, right? So these kids teach, and then these kids will go and present it to the teacher and to the class. So they would have these like groups of children. They all get to have a group to be in. But the children need to teach each other and not leave anyone behind. So if someone or 2 or 3 people in a group of 10 don't get something, then those children, without judgment, because these kids won't have judgment unless they're programmed, these kids will, without judgment, teach those other kids until they get it, until they're there. And there won't be grades. There won't be grades, there won't be GPAs, there won't be requirements to get into a college. It's not going to be like that anymore. It'll be like the way we were. It'll be stepping into the temple where you expand the consciousness with the work that you are actually here to do. And that's what we did in the beginning of Atlantis. I remember that. Yeah. It's also aligned with your astrology.
It's a world I want to live in for sure. And you mentioned how these kids are catalyzers. I feel like there's these other also cosmic beings that are becoming more present to us. And I learned this from my recent trip to Egypt, is the dragons, who are also acting as huge catalyzers for our ascension. What have you learned about the dragons in this process?
I've been working with the dragons for years and years. I saw them when I was a child. At night, every night, my closet door would open. A unicorn would literally stick its nose out the closet door and start to open the door. And they're connected to that kingdom, the elemental kingdom. So there would be dragons in the background. There'd be gnomes. There'd be elves coming out, fairies flying out. And I would just be in like this awe. I shared a room with my sister. Before I shared it with my brother and my sister because it's such a big family. But I would see them. And I had no fear of them. We have to remember that dragons were put into mythology where they were supposed to be afraid of them. That's not it at all. We are the dragons. Okay? When people understand that that's actually part of you, these crystalline dragons and this frequency of them, they're either healers, they're cosmic dragons, they're dragons of protection, they're dragons of clearing. There's so many different ones. I actually did a webinar on this, and I have a video on YouTube about the dragons. People can go and listen to that, but there's activations in there for it. So the dragons are a high frequency being, and they're crystalline. There's also water dragons. They call them the sea dragons. There are so many of them. And we can work with ones that are around us that will show up. I connect people to their dragons. But then I said, okay, now I want you to feel within yourself, who's the dragon? And every single person feels themselves shift and they see themselves change, and they're like, I'm the dragon. It's just part of your multidimensionality. We've been all and everything. All and everything. So that's part of you. There's also ones that they will, when I go to the sacred sites, they protect the sacred sites. There's ones that protect the land. You will see them inside of mountains. You can see them. You can even see them in the rocks. If you go into places where you see rocks that look like dragons, they're protecting the land right there. That's what they're doing. They will show themselves to you. Because remember, they're multidimensional. The rock will be on all of a sudden, they're like, I'm a dragon. Watch out. You're not going to get past me unless your frequency is here, because they're protecting something sacred. So we are here as well to protect something sacred, which is Gaia. And that's what the dragon showed me. So we all have our own dragon energy, however it is. You could be a water dragon, you could be a fire dragon, you can be an air dragon. You can move the air, I can stop the wind. That's one of the things I could do. I could stop the wind, I can start the rain. I did it in Egypt.
Don't start the rain here in Madrid. We don't need that right now. We're good. We've had enough of this past week.
I did it in Costa Rica because they were in a drought. I didn't know, but that's what I did with the blue avians. But the only thing
what is going on there? What is going on there with changing the weather patterns and like what is going on there energetically?
With the control or?
Yeah, like being able to create these, weather patterns, like, is that just an extension of us because we are the elements? Or how would one be able to do this?
Yeah, we are them. As soon as you understand that and you integrate that within you and you reactivate that within your cells, within your DNA, you begin to be able to do that stuff. That's the multidimensional. And that's also part of that 24th chromosome coming on. There's so much stuff they turned off. Okay? So, and that's when I'm working with people and I initiate and activate, the codes that come through. I'll bring these activations through you, but it's through your beliefs as well. You have to be the believer because you're your own healer. I just will give you the codes. They'll go through the DNA at that cell level. And what happens is this interesting. You get that activation, okay? That's going to awaken you. I see your cells with like a shield over them that looks gray. And it looks like a lightning bolt when the codes come in and goes and it cracks it so that your cells begin to expand as light. And that's when that light body starts turning on. That's when the crystalline process starts. But that's also when the memories of you being able to utilize the elements in the highest light starts to happen. You have that ability. The only one they haven't allowed me to do is the fire yet. And I think that I used to throw fire. So I'm like...
the avatar.
So right now I could do so many things, but we are all that, right? The 5-pointed star has all of the elements. Was it the Vitruvian man? The woman's missing. If you didn't know, she was erased, okay?
Tell us more.
So, I got that download a long time ago. Like in my late 20s, I went to an art gallery with someone, and I saw the Vitruvian man on the wall, okay? I don't think it was the real one, but it was there, and I was staring at it. And in front of the man, the woman came forward, and she had her arms out, but her legs were straight. His legs were spread. His arms were a little higher than hers, and hers were the ones that were straight. And she is shorter than him. I saw both of them because without the balance of the feminine and masculine energy within the self, we cannot utilize those elements and create from it. The alchemy doesn't work. So what do? They erase the woman.
Who's they?
Well, the opposing energies that don't want you to know the truth. Right?
Yeah.
The whole reason that we're back here and everyone's waking up. And, I talk about some of these things on my Patreon where I give them this information. I haven't gone public with a lot of things because of the 2020 thing that happened with my channel. But now they're like, you need to start talking about the visions you've seen, the information we've given you. That Vitruvian man is one of them. It's not the Vitruvian man. It's the Vitruvian hue man, which is feminine, masculine balance. So they took the hue out.
Yeah.
And so how does that feel though? When you envision that and you feel that and the truth is there, you have to have both to be able to procreate in any way.
Yeah. Have you been in the Kamombo temple?
Kamombo?
Yeah.
I believe so.
It's I think the only temple that has 2 altars, 2 sanctuaries.
Kamambo, right?
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
so. I can't remember them all. We went to so many of them. I tried to squeeze in as many as I could. Um, but I know that one's on the back of my. I gave everyone a gift of a journal in every temple we went to, and that is one of them.
Yeah.
But the
I
two
think we're going to
altars.
go deeper into that with Alunia, because she received some information that in that temple they would practice the priests and priestesses sex magic to find the divine union within themselves of the human that you're referring to.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember that as well.
Oh yeah, I remember everything. I used to do that. I used to teach that. So here's the thing. It's not literally physical sex. That's not what it was. It was actually sitting across from each other in those temples and be able to integrate the other person within your field in this quantum reality, okay? We would integrate and we would receive the energy of the other person in our electric field, in our quantum field, in all of our bodies. So literally we became one. And when that happened, like I do that out on the earth all the time. I was doing it yesterday with Gaia and Solaris, the sun. What happens is when you become all and everything, so you're doing this with a partner, the priest and the priestess, and you become their energy and they become your energy, and you are just, what's happening is it looks like spirals of DNA just spiraling through you, through your whole energy system. Okay? It's just spiraling and spiraling. And your chakras are completely open, and we have many more chakras than 14. We have so many. They're all completely open. It starts as sexual energy at the root, and it just starts to climb and climb and climb through your whole body. And when it does that, they call it orgone energy. It doesn't feel like the physical orgasm. It's an orgone energy that's like elevated. And I'm going to say this on here. I've only said this on my Patreon in private. I'm going to start blushing. That's when that's the human part. You see, I still have a little human left. When you get to that point of ecstasy before you're going to release, it's like it stops. You don't allow that, right? You just stay in that point of ecstasy, and it just keeps flowing through you. It keeps flowing and flowing up and down and around, and it literally will go this way. It will go this way. Your toroidal field expands, and you just are in this whole state of this, what they term it as sex magic, but whatever it was is alchemization, because we would focus. I need to meet her because I know all this stuff. You'll have to connect me. What
For
we would
sure.
do, what we would do is we would go in with the same intention. The man and the woman would go in with the same intention of what they wanted to create in this orgone energy. And when you did that, you visualized it, but you were allowing that orgone energy to go through because you were becoming all that you are in this space and place of this ecstasy, which is like bringing the 0 point into you not going to it, if that makes sense. And procreating, collaborating. And what you would do is you would create whatever you went in with intention with. You can create it physically into matter. And it could be a day, it could be 2 days later, it could be 3 days later, boom, there it is.
What would the priests and priestesses create into physical reality in that sense?
It depended on the time of the civilization, but there, in the beginning of certain civilizations, we didn't physically connect our bodies. If we wanted a child, we would literally do that. We would have what we called it alchemization, not sex magic. I think that came from current times. It was unification. It was alchemization for creation. And if we wanted a child, we did that. But the child didn't come through the physical body.
Like baby Jesus.
It came in from light. I've been shown so much stuff in the truth in how creation began and how, different civilizations, that we were able to do these things until everybody shut down for greed. So when you were doing this magic, that's when a lot of people start saying, if I can create that, I can create this. If I can create gold, I can create more gold. If I can create, you see what I'm saying?
The ego stepped in, the greed.
Yeah.
How do we prevent that from coming in again, that energy, when we remember ourselves?
Well, there's the authenticity, the golden. And that's the one thing that I don't see beyond is when we go into the golden age again, right? I'm like, is this going to happen again? I keep asking my guides, but I'm like, is that going to happen again? Because what's the whole point, right? And there's things where they'll give me pieces to the puzzle, but they won't give me anything. So we have to stay here. We have to stay grounded. We have to stay humble. And we have to stay in our sacred hearts and knowing that we're here to serve humanity and Gaia, not ourselves. That's the thing. That's the downfall right there. So, yeah, there's lots of stuff. I remember so much. It's just, when I tell people things, they're like, what?
Earlier, you were mentioning how, a lot of people think that their third eye is broken in a way.
Yeah.
I know that doesn't happen to you, but one time when you're tuning into the upcoming US elections, you said that you get a blank slate in your third eye. So what did that signify, or what was the metaphor behind not seeing anything when you tuned into that outcome?
Isn't that interesting? This is the first time that they've given me a blank slate. And what it means is it can go either way. But literally what I was shown the other day was like a different process happening. But I also saw someone coming into office and then claiming that they're ill and they can't remain in their position so that other person's going to move up. And meanwhile, other persons were put in place that are more awake, that are going to help the shift and change. So I don't know if it's this one, but I believe it is. But I can't say for sure because they just go back to the blank slate. They're like, because the consciousness of humanity has shifted and so many people it's creating the split even more. The split started happening a long time ago. Started in 2020, basically. But because it's happening even more, but the collective consciousness of the awakened ones is risen. So we have that blank slate. It's what do we want? So the blank slate is for you to write on there. What do you want from this? What do we want from this? Do we want to be pulled into a dystopia? Or do you want to be pulled into the new way where we can be more liberated and have our freedom? Because right now it's not very free. It really isn't.
That's the real question to be asking, and I think the default is just the choice is this or that. And then, your invitation is, what do we really want to create? Mm-hmm. And with that consciousness, we can then see other possibilities with that instead of A or B, left or right, blue or red,
Yeah, when we can actually honor the person that maybe also trying to take the position in politics. I just see all of it dismantling. I see everything with politics dismantling all over the entire world, not just the United States, because it's so corrupt. But we have to put out there with our intention, because this is the alchemization too. And this is that consciousness of what we want. Focus on what we want, not what we don't want. They're putting all this stuff out there right now for people to focus on what they don't want. And what happens? We have to focus on the change. And that's what that blank slate is. They're giving us this blank slate. What do you want? And this is for every country. So there's going to be, with what's going to be happening, because there's a lot of light coming in next year. Light came in this April, and I see light coming in this coming April. It shifts the consciousness and expands the evolution. Not everybody sees it. Not everybody will, but it's going to happen. Okay? We have to be able to stand in our power and our courage and say what we want without allowing someone to disempower us anymore. That to me is freedom. When you can speak your truth and you don't get shut down, you can speak your truth, because the sacred voice, everyone has one, and you're allowed to express it. You're allowed to see everybody else's opinions, everybody else's perceptions and realities, and just stay in your own truth. But without the collective understanding that we're doing this as a whole in unity, the political regime is not going to change. So hopefully when people see your video here, they're going to get it and go, oh, that's it.
And share it, like, subscribe.
And press this little button. And maybe we'll press the button on mine.
Oh, 100%. Oh, 100%.
But this is it. This is how we do it. This is how we do. That just came in from above.
My guides wanted to sing real quick through me. Keleena, we end every show with a segment called The Final Trio. But before that, I would love to give you a space to tell everyone listening where they can find you, where they can connect with you, where they can subscribe to you, where they can contact you, anything that you have coming up as well. Please let us know.
Oh, it's so funny because I haven't been, I've had my sessions turned off for almost a year now, just because I've been taking time for me. But I, my name right down there, and I don't know if it'll go to that side, because sometimes it does that. My website is my name, and my YouTube is my name. You'll find everything there, the Instagram and all that stuff on that stuff. You can connect through that way. And as far as anything coming up, I do a lot of webinars online to reach globally. I haven't traveled for a little bit, and but there's a newsletter that when things are going to come up where I'm going to set up events or travel, and you can go with, or if you want to do sessions will be coming open soon, very soon. I won't say when because there's such a long list. They'll be able to find out through my newsletter. That's how I tell everybody first. But yeah, that's it. That's it.
Beautiful. We'll put all of that inside of the show notes and all the links in there for people. For the final trio, the first two questions are personalized to the guest, and then the final one we ask at the end of every show. So the first one that I had for you is, what is the most life-altering piece of wisdom that the cosmos has whispered to you?
Know thyself, love thyself, and be thyself. Very important. Because without that, you just fall back in the trap. You really got to have that deep dive within and really know who you are. Find your authenticity. And then love every bit of you. The dark side, the light side, doesn't matter. You got to love every bit of you. You got to neutralize the things. You've got to heal the self. And then be all that you are and all that you came to be without judging yourself and thinking that others are going to judge you for it. Because I've been judged for how I am with all the activations I do. I've been called every name in the book, but I still did everything because when I came in on that first day of 2015, they said, you're in full mission. And I could not back down. So when you know thyself, you love thyself, and you become all that you are being all that you are, you allow that full mission of why you came here to happen and grow and evolve within yourself, not just for yourself, but all those around you and for humanity, for the collective consciousness of this planet. That's unification. We're all one. Don't run from who you are.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
Beautifully said. And the second one wasn't really a question, more so an invitation to experience your language of light that you have been sprinkling in here and there throughout the conversation. But to really give all of us an opportunity to bathe in that frequency that you're invited to offer to us, if that's something that resonates.
Absolutely. I'm vibrating, so I've been waiting to do it. So let me go ahead, and I'm just going to adjust myself and take a breath. And I'm going to have everyone to go ahead and take a deep breath in through the nose, breathing into the belly, expanding into the lungs until the shoulders roll back, and relax. Make sure you're sitting up straight, feet flat on the floor. And I'm going to have everybody ground in a very simple way that I teach everyone. Focus on your lower back at the tailbone where that root chakra is. And just say out loud, I am grounded. Did you feel what happens to you? Kata ama. Okay. I only allow the highest benevolent source, love, light, creator beings of the highest frequency and vibration of my divine creator source to work through me, as me, of me, within me, outside of me, above and below me at all times now, for every transmission eternally. Anything that is lesser than the highest vibration and frequency of my divine creator source that is within the field of all of those that are listening, that will listen, must leave now. Okay, you're going to feel energy moving. There you go. And if you can have your hands, palms facing up on your lap, open and ready to receive. This is what Hathor has taught. Ata. Turashka. Allow yourself to feel the energy flowing through you. For those that don't feel energy, they don't have to worry. It is still working. Aquí. Open. And everyone just go ahead and say out loud, I now align and drop into my divine sacred heart. There. Feel that expansion. This is where you're going to receive the language of light in that sacred heart. From my heart to yours. kada atkerot kukut ukras und mera and andki. Meraskat arshta. Marahund maraka. San iru. Release. Feria und markadekere iskarast ut erst ur. Mana achand anaki. Sakarat mut utata at Sam an ad eraki oshu. Asakarate irastikirat utna. Isha unuma maha. Dragons. Amane en de marachun naska. Yantu amoriantam Hiyahu Amiana nene kiratan terosten marasanta Marehan marakatanta snarasinta mira Nahui Amuna Mahayam Radana Hayam Marionoto Ren marach und kursta maskui. Maha anaki, maha atur. Allow the energy to flow. Kasetamina, merstateros turostin. Amin. Aya. Amana ana, amana ana, amana a. Taquitas. Tacatuta. Mataquitas. Shia. Marasana marohocha mana aki. I am. Many blessings. And breathe. Those activations go through the DNA at the cellular level, and there will be 14 days to allow these activations. They're going to create a shift within. So you're going to go through, everyone that listens, they'll go through a shift within their process of becoming more that they are. Emotions may come up, beliefs about the self, physical pains might come forward. And all it's doing is it's showing you areas that you have to work on to focus in your healing and release to move forward. Okay, so you might be doing something, all of a sudden you start just crying. You don't know why. There's an emotion being released because these go into the cells and they activate. Like I said, those cells have a shield over them. Once they're open and your light starts to expand more, and this is levels. It's not just once. It will keep happening. That's why to listen to language of light and to even start speaking it yourself, because I activate people to speak it. You heal yourself when you allow it to flow. So many reasons, there's so many reasons why it's such an important gift that we all have the ability to utilize. So just allow yourself to go through that transition. It's going to be different for everyone. And that was maybe, I don't know how many different ones came through, maybe a dozen. The fairies were at the end.
It's like a recipe of languages in there.
Yeah. That's how it works. Like in my sessions too, I go into people's subconscious to find the things that I'm holding them back. And then, go through all this healing, bringing all these things up, talking about, and then boom, at the end, all these different languages come in that are going to help to heal that person in so many different levels: emotional body, physical body, the pain body, the mental body, your whole field, even your aura changes, everything changes. You become more of who you are when you're releasing all that stuff. So language of light is so important. And it's even in my astrology chart that's what I'm as a master of. I have mastery 5 times in there, but this language is one of them to help the collective. That's why I have the free YouTube channel.
Yeah.
To reach everyone. Yeah.
In the gene keys, my life's work is the gene key, I believe it's 62. And that's when you go to the gene keys and you open the chapter, it's language of light. So that's my life's work. It's the shadow of the intellect, the gift of precision, and the CD of impeccability. So that's what I'm here to work with. So thank you so much for sharing that. That was so powerful and beautiful and galactic and shamanic. It was all of it.
And angelic. And it was so many of them.
All of it.
Yes, it's beautiful. I'm literally feeling your throat right now, though.
Yeah, what's going on there? Do I need to drink some water?
Oh, no, it's squeezing. Your throat is squeezing. Are you speaking your language of light?
Trying to.
No, we don't try. No, we don't try. Have you been activated? Are you speaking it?
No, not fully.
Okay, then I will do that for you when we get together.
We'll do that.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. And the last question we ask, we call it the time capsule question. We ask this at the end of every show. It requires us to travel out a little bit into the future, around 15 to 20 years down the line. And the reason I chose out those time frames is because I believe that's going to be a time when the young generations of today will be stepping into leadership positions around the world. And just like any great leader that has ever been formed, they've had great mentors, great resources, great tools, and great teachings along the way. So you are given the opportunity to leave behind a time capsule where you can leave anything behind for these leaders, so that when they open this time capsule, they'll then be equipped with whatever tools necessary to be able to lead into this golden age. It doesn't have to be anything specifically physical or material. Like, it doesn't have to fit in a physical time capsule. It could be anything that you can think of: a message, a code, a frequency, a book, a teaching, a poem. Like, we've had all sorts of answers.
Yeah.
But what would you leave behind for the next generation of leaders in this time capsule?
The ability for them to see the next version of themselves, evolved with the next consciousness, because they're going to continue to evolving too. So it would be a frequency and a code, if that makes sense. But also a symbol from the language of light that activates that. But I would want to put so much stuff in there. I'd be going throwing all kinds of energies in there. They won't be able to close it.
It'll disappear. It'll disappear. Go to the 9th dimension directly.
And I'll put my book in there that I'm writing, because it is.
When's that coming out? We haven't had a lot of details on the book.
I'm still writing it, and it's channeling. So it's about you being your multidimensional self, this new divine human that people are becoming. There's not that many of us on the planet yet, but that's who most of humanity is becoming. The only reason I turn that on is because of the walking in the full mission. That's it. And that's why I already am that and vibrate at these high levels. But that's who everyone is becoming. And I feel like these young children, they're there, but not all the way yet. Because if they walk around the house shape-shifting to their parents at 3 or 4 years old, their parents are going to freak out. Seriously. Because so many of the parents are still asleep.
It's a genetic mutation. Is this what we're talking about?
It's when the 24th chromosome comes online.
Wow.
Yeah.
One of my favorite movies is the X-Men series, and the whole, people that know that movie or that, series, is there's a genetic mutation amongst the human population. That's what becomes the mutants that are then, these people that have gifts and powers, and, people that haven't activated that then fear them. So there's this whole thing. But I know that, the future is very beautiful. And when we start to see that, is learning to accept and not judge, and know that that's within us as well.
1,000%. That's who we are. And that's why I show people my abilities. I'll send you some videos of the things I can do, and you're going to be like, what? And seriously, you are going to be able to do them too. Once the healing's done, that 24th chromosome comes online. That's your multidimensional aspects of the self that you will integrate to become that best version of yourself ever. Yeah.
Keleena, thank you in a million different ways for showing us the possibilities, for showing us our potential in you, for allowing us to see yourself without any masks, in your divinity, in your truth. It has been such a pleasure. I know that we'll call this round 1 for now, because these are going to come through. It's my desire to continue this conversation and just continue weaving together this beautiful tapestry that humanity is unfolding. So thank you for being a piece of the puzzle and allowing us to get a glimpse into your beautiful gifts and strengths and just the multidimensionality.
And thank you for being you. Because without you, you wouldn't be reaching all these people. Thank you. Emilio.